This is the
Five Stars
podcast.
Let me talk to you.
Hi.
So, what do you guys want to talk about? Tell me we're not telling lies.
Thanks, guys. Back to you.
So what day is it? I don't even know anymore. It's supposed to be Monday when the show's going up. I'm recording this on Saturday night, wherein my editing process will carry over into Sunday afternoon, which, if I actually remember to do it, the show will be uploaded on Monday evening. It is a 3-day process to literally record, 30 minutes of content? But it goes to show that I'm great at pre-planning. Normally I just record everything on Sunday morning, but I'm actually going to be in Cleveland again tomorrow, and it's going to conflict with the time that I usually sit down to record the show. So I want to make sure that I'm not trying to record and edit on Sunday. Although I probably could. It wouldn't be that big a deal. I mean, this is only going to be a Retro Raw review. Don't worry, it won't be another marathon podcast like last week was. Good God. Nope, today we are talking about Classic Raw. Then we'll be back on Friday for more classic reviews. And of course, for anybody checking out the show for the first time, this is the 5 Starr Wrestling Report podcast. We are the wrestling channel nobody knows but everybody needs. Here on Mondays and Fridays, YouTube and Rumble. I think most of you know the normal spiel if you've been an avid listener of the show. Make sure to comment, subscribe, give the show a like for me, then come back and check us out if you're a proponent of classic wrestling coverage. For my money, there's not enough people doing the kind of stuff I'm doing. Only a hand-select few. People would still rather put all their eggs in the basket of WWE or AEW. For what reason, I couldn't tell you. But we're here to talk about this episode of Retro Raw from 1996. And that is exactly what we're going to do. So let's get into it. I don't have any outstanding life stories or interesting news to talk about. We're just going to dive right into the review. And thank God I can breathe a sigh of relief that I've got another week before I have to talk about the In Your House pay-per-view. I just was not mentally prepared this weekend to try to cram in 3 hours of WWF. I mean, if I actually stayed on track with the dates and didn't get a week behind at the beginning of the year, then we would have had to talk about the In Your House show this week. But since I fucked up the schedule back in January, I just said, screw it. I'm not going to skip a week of Raw just for that. We'll be a week behind schedule in the Retro Review series. So this was in fact the go-home episode to In Your House 7. If you asked me to name a single match on that show outside the main event with Shawn and Diesel for the WWF title, I would not have been able to do that prior to watching this episode. There's me being behind the 8-ball, and then there's WWF doing such a piss-poor job promoting the show. It never even dawned on me that I still had no idea what the hell was being advertised for this pay-per-view outside the main title match. I missed 1 week by not covering Retro Raw. May as well have missed 6 months worth of content. I came into the show and my first thought was, what the hell even happened 2 weeks ago? I kid you not. The only thing I remembered offhand was that god-awful promo segment with the Warrior and Goldust, where Goldust talked about wanting to fondle Warrior's genitals and ride his back like a superhero. I'm not making that up. That actually happened. So, well, they opened this week with Goldust coming out for what the announcers said was an Intercontinental Championship match, but Dustin didn't come out with a physical title around his waist. And Vincent Lawler talking about the controversy that happened last week on Raw regarding the belt. Based on the replay they showed here, there was a title match between Goldust and Savio Vega. They did a ref bump spot with Hebner toward the end. And then Tim White, the other senior official, came down to check on him. And during that whole shebang, they do a spot where Goldust went to try to hit Savio over the head with the title. But then Savio, the idiot babyface, not only blocked the belt shot and ripped the title away, but then he proceeded to hit Goldust over the head with the belt, right in plain view of the second official at ringside. Didn't even try to conceal it. So when Savio got the quote-unquote 3 count over Dustin, Tim intervened in the decision and raised Goldust's hand because he saw Savio use the belt, but Hebner didn't, and he counted the original fall. So that all led to Gorilla Monsoon coming out and apparently announcing a rematch for this episode, but he never specifically noted anything about stripping the belt away from Goldust and holding it up for 7 days. So was Goldust technically still the champion going in? Was this a vacant title match? I don't know. It was not explained very well, which is typically a running theme with the WWF. Piss poor promotion and piss poor ability to make sense of the most basic fundamental things. So we get the rematch between Savio and Goldust. Goody goody. My immediate thought here was, if Goldust was already the champion going in, why didn't he just get himself immediately counted out or disqualified? You know, to avoid losing the belt. Granted, if the belt was actually being held up here, then it was a must-win situation for Goldust to get the belt back. Again, though, they never really explained any of that. Was Goldust hurt going into this match? He was moving very gingerly at certain points. Kind of looked like he was trying to avoid taking any heavy bumps. Now, it's not to say the match was bad. It was a very basic match. It went a long time, too. I mean, they went through 2 commercial spots for this thing. Outside the one spot where Goldust trapped Savio in the corner and kissed him on the lips, the rest of his work here was mildly standard heel stuff. He worked over Savio's leg, got a really long heat sequence on him where they played an Ultimate Warrior split screen in between. I have no idea what he said. Something about the metal design of the IC title and making Goldust squeal like a pig. It's Warrior. Don't try and overthink it. So, well, they come back from second commercial after showing Steve Austin and Ted DiBiase come out to scout. Yes, for those curious, Austin is still feuding with Savio for whatever reason. The same guy that's about to become their breakout star in a year's time. Here he is 12 years prior in a dead-end program with Savio Vega that nobody could possibly give a shit about. They did a cool spot right before Savio's comeback where he countered Goldust reverse DDT and hit a nice-looking sidekick. And a couple near-fall attempts for Savio right before Marlena took the ref on the apron for the distraction spot. That way Austin could clock Savio in the head with $1 million belt and allow Goldust to retain and or regain the belt. Again, still don't know. Would have been nice to maybe explain all that. I mean, like I said, the action was fine. I don't know if it ever reached a point where it necessitated going almost 15 minutes. Probably could have shaved off like 5 minutes of Goldust getting the heat and it would have had the same effect. I still love the concerted effort from the production team to try to get as many boob and ass shots of Marlena as they possibly can. That's got to be a Kevin Dunn thing. You know that creep ball would look for any excuse to peep at her headlights. Not that I'm complaining about it. I'd rather see more of that than Goldust groping men in the ring. But hey, you know, different strokes for different folks. Quite literally. By the way, I just want to let you all know, there was a massive thunderstorm here in Ohio when I watched the show on Friday night. So I was literally sitting here on the edge of my seat just waiting for the electricity to go out. Somehow it didn't. But boy, was it loud. So then it was Vader time. I'm not being silly. He was literally part of the next segment. He was in a TV match with Fatu. Okay, seriously. I completely misremembered how long the Street Preacher gimmick lasted. I could have sworn it was less than 3 months. How long has Fatu been doing this gimmick? It has to be at least 8 months now, right? It still sucks. Don't get me wrong. It's never gotten any less horrible. I just completely forgot how long they ran with it. Kind of like Sparkplug Bob Holly. Awful, rotten gimmick. But Vince utterly refused to drop it. I mean, overall, there really wasn't a whole lot to say about it. It was two lumbering big dudes doing some stuff for a while until Fatu went up and hit a big splash, which Vader no-sold. Then he popped up, gave Fatu a big lariat, and hit a moonsault press onto Fatu for the 3. I believe that's the first time we've seen Vader hit the moonsault in the WWF. That was always one of his signature moves. I don't remember if there was a backstory to him not using it for the first several months in the WWF. Maybe because he was a heel. They didn't want people automatically cheering him from the start. Now, whatever the case was, he hit it here. And he was still technically supposed to be a heel as of this point. Only when the people chanted, "You suck" at him after he popped up and no-sold the body splash. Part of me was like, did a bunch of smart marks just start trying to heckle Vader for no-selling another guy's move? That would have been kind of funny. Boo, fuck you, Vader. No-selling Fatu's move. That's unprofessional. Right. Because of all people for the fans to get pissed off that his move was no-sold. Fatu. Right. Then they followed that with some video highlights of their recent tour from over in Germany. I think they were actually doing several stops for that date. But they only showed film from when they were in Bayreuth. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't even know. But I guess they were also in places like Munich and some other cities I forgot to jot down. Looked like a fun trip. I forgot that Bret Hart was actually a part of that Germany tour. That might have been one of the last things he did post-Mania before he took time off. It was cool, though, because it was all house show footage, so they didn't have a traditional hard cam perspective for anything. It was all shot from the floor cam. So, it kind of resembled some of those old school NWA or territorial house show clips we would see on the classic reviews. More of the darkened arena. I don't know. I always liked that setting more. The big clip they aired was a match between Jake Roberts and Davey Boy, which saw Roberts put the giant python around Davey's neck at the end. Credit the Bulldog for being a good sport and going along with that. Yes, I know the snake was always a work when they did it. They didn't let an untrained 10-foot python wrap itself around Davey Boy for a shoot. Even so, I still don't know if I would co-sign that if they asked me to do it. Only if I got a bonus pay. And or a life insurance policy. So here's some great product placement. In the same segment, they're about to air a Godwin Brothers squash. The sponsor plug is for Wrigley's Winter Fresh Bubblegum. Yeah, Henry and Phineas probably could have used a pack. Real talk, has anybody actually ever had Wrigley's gum? That shit was so disgusting. It was like chewing on literal pieces of cardboard coated in nothing but sugar. I don't care if that's controversial. Wrigley's bubblegum was vulgar. I mean, I was never much of a gum chewer once I got to high school, but I mean, I've had plenty of Wrigley's to know that that stuff was garbage. So while the Godwins are working their match here with Tim Patterson and a very young Tajiri, when I say young, I mean he was probably in his mid-20s, although he looked like he was 18. Obviously, we'll be seeing plenty more footage of Tajiri over the next several years. Probably a little too much if I'm being blunt. I'm just kidding. I like Tajiri. I had nothing against him. I just hated so much of the bullshit he was involved with during the Attitude Era. The whole Kai and Tai comedy group, feud with Val Venus. God, that stuff was fucking rotten. But he was just fodder here. So here's what happened. They showed a 10-second picture-in-picture pre-tape where Sonny and the Body Donnas were talking about this huge surprise they had in store for the Godwins. So they go back to the match, and Lawler's pretending to run back to the commentary table out of breath, because apparently he was in the back getting an inside scoop on Sonny's big surprise. So she comes out with the tag belts. Vince is sitting there going, Sonny is clearly running a distraction here on the Godwins. Despite the fact that at no point when Sonny ran out did she cause any type of distraction for the Godwins. They just kept having their match. They did not pay attention to Sonny one iota. And so What was the big surprise Sonny had in store for the Godwins? Beats me. We never found out. She skipped down to the ring with the sets in hand. I'm not talking about her breasts, I'm talking about the tag belts. She came down, almost immediately run to the back by Hillbilly Jim and his dog. And, well, the Godwins win. And then Skip and Zip hit the ring afterwards, beat up the Godwins, and then stuffed a bucket of slop down Phineas's throat. So was that the big surprise? The Body Don is hitting the ring afterwards and beating up the baby faces? And then stuffing a bucket of slop down one of their throats? Well, first off, I'm pretty sure the bucket of slop was already down there at ringside. So it's not even like they carried one out for this heat angle. And boy, what a lame fucking surprise, am I right? The big revelation is, haha, the heels are here to kick the babyface's ass. Yeah, haven't seen that angle done 100 gazillion times in wrestling over the years. So this segment sucked dick. They've been better off having Tammy come out and flash everyone. Now that would have been a big fucking surprise. Also would have gotten them immediately kicked off the network, but hey, they're trying to be edgy, right? Gotta start somewhere. Probably wouldn't be the worst thing we'd see in the WWF over the next several years. So then we had Mankind destroying Aldo Montoya. Not quickly enough for my liking, but any person that beats up Aldo Montoya gets over with me. I will never be able to explain why or how this needed a fucking commercial break thrown in. Kind of reminds me of why I can't stand modern WWE television. Every god-blessed match now is interrupted with commercial plugs. That's why it's impossible to care about anything that happens. The fact that Aldo Montoya versus Mankind needed to be broken up with a commercial break. I mean, that goes to show just how fucked up mainstream wrestling television is. So Mankind hit a package pile driver and then got Montoya to submit with a mandible claw. And they're still playing that hokey piano music after his matches, which I'm still convinced is canned. There's no way they actually picked that music out and settled on it before they went with Foley's darker version of the Mankind theme. I remember that theme vividly. I don't remember this generic lullaby piano medley they were playing for him. So, well, that left about 5 minutes of airtime for them to throw together this little HBK Diesel hype package for the title match. By the way, yes, Mankind versus Aldo Montoya, that was your TV main event. WWF Raw in 1996, people. It was a rough time. I mean, the hype package was fine. Kind of a let's go back in the time machine and revisit their past friendship video. And again, admittedly a decent little video. It definitely wasn't cinema, like all the modern WWE fans claim today when it comes to production, and all the bells and whistles that come with all that. It was interesting to me how they went back and highlighted when Shawn had first brought Diesel in as his bodyguard back in '93. And they're showing all these clips of them being buddy-buddy together. Them riding in the back of the limo, holding up the IC belt. Back when Nash had a literal mullet. Because he was still in that awkward hair growth phase. Good times, baby. But like, okay, they show all of that. And then they jump way ahead to when Diesel had won the WWF title and then lost it to Bret Hart at Survivor Series last year. No mention of the Shawn Diesel title match from WrestleMania 11. No mention of anything regarding Shawn as a heel during that timeline. They just totally memory hold all that. The most we got was Shawn was a little boastful and showboaty during his early years. Translation: he was a dick. But we can't do anything to paint Shawn as a bad guy, so just discount that entire heel run. That never happened. Okay. WWF revisionist history for you. And I still maintain what I said a few weeks ago. I was more than okay with the Shawn Diesel feud when it was Shawn as the heel and Diesel as the babyface. Man, when they flipped the dynamics and made Shawn the babyface, all credibility to me went completely out the window. HBK as the shit-sniffing Weasley heel was so much more believable than 215-pound badass threatening to beat up the 7-foot, 300-pound giant. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, come on. Diesel would beat this guy's ass in 10 seconds if they had a real fight. Like Shawn telling Diesel here, I made you, and now I'm gonna break you down to size. I'm just like, okay, good one, Shawn. I'm sure Diesel's shaking in his boots as we speak. I don't know. To me, this is all just a buffer program for Shawn. I mean, we know what this is all leading to for May. Diesel already had one foot out the door. He didn't give a shit. I mean, getting the opportunity to work with his best friend right before he left the company. I mean, Nash didn't have a problem putting over Shawn. He was one of the few guys he would ever put over clean. I don't have a single memory about that title match for In Your House. So, it's either incredibly unmemorable or so unbelievably mediocre it doesn't even register with people that grew up watching the WWF during this period. And we'll see which category I fall into. I expect Nash will at least try, because he's working with Shawn. And because Shawn's going over, you know he's going to be on his A game. But I thought I would just go ahead and preview the card here since I have a few minutes. I mentioned at the beginning, I had like no idea what was being advertised on this card outside the Diesel-Shawn match. Here is the card lineup for In Your House 7. And no, I'm not using the wiki page just to avoid spoilers. I went to a website that just had the card listed. I don't know if this is the match order. It's just the matches that took place on the pay-per-view. Oh, and by the way, the show was taglined, Good Friends, Better Enemies. So for those of you that were unsure about the real-life friendship between the two guys wrestling each other in the main event, well, they let the cat out of the bag. Anyway, we have Owen Hart and Davey Boy taking on Ahmed Johnson and Jake Roberts in a tag match, which sounds delightful. There's a Body Donnas versus Godwin's match for the tag team title. So that was at least set up in the angle they shot here on the Go Home show. I still can't believe that was a fucking title match. God, WWF's tag division sucked. We have the Ultimate Warrior and Goldust for the Intercontinental Title, which I remembered after they showed the pre-tape with Warrior cutting the promo on Goldust this week. We have Vader versus Razor Ramon for some inexplicable reason. And then Diesel and Shawn in the main event for the WWF title. So, yeah, that show looks pretty goddamn horrendous. I can see why I don't have very fond memories of it. There's also apparently several dark matches they aired after the main event. I'm not even going to bother talking about those. But yeah, we'll be reviewing that grandiose event next weekend. Don't give your hopes up for a grandiose recap. Probably won't be much to discuss in great length. I do believe it's the last televised appearance for both Scott Hall and Kevin Nash before they left for WCW. Now, obviously, they'll be part of the MSG curtain call deal in May. But in terms of on-screen appearances for both pay-per-view and television, I think this is it for both those two until... When did they come back for that brief WWF run in the 2000s? Was that 2001, 2002-ish? It was after the botched invasion angle, I remember that. Because that was always my biggest grievance with everything they fucked up about that invasion storyline. The fact that Nash and Hall were never a part of it. Along with Hogan, Flair, Sting, Goldberg, Luger, half a dozen other top drawing WCW legends I could rattle off. You know, the ones that actually mattered. I don't know if I'll be around long enough to cover that whole invasion fiasco, but tell you what, if I am, it's going to be a legendary 8 months of ranting and raving. I tend not to scream or get overly emotional about things. There are definitely plenty of moments during that period that are scream-worthy. Worse than anything I could possibly bitch about with Vince Russo booking over the next couple of years. So, I think that'll do it for this one. So again, thanks everybody that stopped by to check out the show this week. And we will reconvene again on Friday for more classic coverage and try to get back to regular form here on the FSWR channel. But until then, I'll catch you guys soon. Take care. Peace out.